Greetings friends, Sleepy here and welcome to a collection video. Today we're going to be taking an updated look at my PlayStation 1 collection. Now, I'm an absolute huge fan of the PlayStation 1. I've loved the console ever since it launched back in the 90s. It was such a revolutionary console at the time. It was one of the best of the early CD-based consoles, especially when you compare it to like Sega CD or even the Sega Saturn. You know, they had pretty poor libraries, where the PlayStation 1 had some amazing games, had great 3D graphics, and just had a nice variety of games. Now, my collection has really grown since my original collection video. I'm at over 400 titles for the PS1. A lot of these titles that I've picked up I got cheap in lots. A lot of them came from thrift stores and stuff. There are some doubles, as I've picked up several throughout the years. And I really haven't focused a whole lot on my PS1 collection the last 3 years, as I've really been mainly focused on my original Xbox. But I've picked up a few titles here and there, and I definitely picked up a lot of titles since my last PlayStation 1 collection video, which I did many years ago. So there's a lot of titles here. Now, unfortunately, I am missing some titles. I have some boxed up in storage at my parents', and I don't have any of my long boxed PS1 games. If you guys remember the original PlayStation 1 games, they had some of them were in giant long box, so they were the size of like the Sega Saturn games, and then they switched to these smaller jewel cases a little bit later on. Alright guys, we got a lot of titles here, so we're going to get started. First up, we have a fishing game here, Fisherman's Bait, a bass challenge. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Creatures. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, 2nd edition. Medal of Honor Underground. This is a great game. If you're a fan of Medal of Honor games, I would recommend this one. Pick it up. It's pretty cool. Colony Wars Vengeance. SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge. Puzzle Starsleep. It's a puzzle game. ATV Racers. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Love the Tony Hawk games, and this Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is awesome. Croc Legend of the Gobbles is a pretty cool game. Cool Borders 4, The Cat in the Hat, Jigsaw Madness, Crusaders of Might and Magic. I remember this one actually being pretty cool. I haven't played it in a long time. I'm going to have to pop it in and see how it is, but I do remember it being really fun. Original Spider-Man game, that's a fun title. Death Trap Dungeon, ATV Quad Power Racing, that was a good title. The Smurfs, this used to be like a $40 game. It's gone down to about $20, $30 you can see on eBay. My wife's a big fan of the Smurfs, so I picked this up for her many years ago. This game here is awesome. Spyro Ripto's Rage. Love the Spyro games, and they're all getting pretty pricey for PS1. Final Fantasy Origins. Great collection of Final Fantasy games. You get Final Fantasy 1 and 2. Future Cop LAPD, absolutely love this game, highly recommend getting this. This one actually took me quite a while to finally find a copy. It's kind of uncommon, but you get to play as a police vehicle that transforms into a mech, and it's really awesome. Loved it. I first got this when I played it on one of my demo discs, and absolutely loved the game, and I had to finally get myself a copy, so I got one a few years ago. Took a while, but tracked it down, so definitely pick up a copy of Future Cop LAPD. It's an awesome title. Next up is Alien Resurrection, a very fun Alien game I would recommend. Sorcerer's Maze, Railroad Tycoon 2, Armored Core, it's an awesome title. Oddworld, classic game here. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. Love the Oddworld games, definitely recommend them for PlayStation, they're very fun. NASCAR 99. Driver, the original Driver, is a really cool title. Tigger's Honey Hunt, I remember getting this title for my wife's son when he was 4 years old, and I remember playing this with him all the time. He really loved it. Of course, now he's almost 14, so he's definitely beyond playing these, but I still have it just for all the memories. Fighting Force, now this was a really cool title. Eternal Eyes, that was a cool title. Here's another Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. The Mummy. The Flintstones Bedrock Bowling. So it's a Flintstones bowling game, which is actually kind of cool. Nuclear Strike, the sequel to Soviet Strike, which I love helicopter games, and this one is really fun. C-12 Final Resistance. Skydiving Extreme, so Natsume made a skydiving game. I remember I found this on vacation several years ago. Delta Force Urban Warfare. Arthur Ready to Race. NBA Shootout 1997, Medal of Honor, this was a great title. Have another Medal of Honor. Celebrity Deathmatch. This was a classic. If you guys remember that show where they made celebrities out of clay and they fought in a ring, and they had, what was that guy? The referee Mills Lane, and Stone Cold Steve Austin also did cameo in it. It was really cool. Definitely would recommend this game. You can also get it on PS2. There's SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. That was such a classic wrestling title. Wipeout XL. Moving on, we have Strikers 1945. This is a very cool shooter game. You know, in those 1940 series, like the ones on the NES. Very good game. I would recommend getting that. Blasto, that was a classic. Asteroids. Broken Helix. Ninja, Shadow of Darkness. There's another Croc Legend of Gobbles, was such a cool title. There's another Medal of Honor. Wheel of Fortune. Pitfall 3D. Mary-Kate and Ashley's Winner's Circle. I'm sure everybody wants that game. Hydro Cross. Championship Bass. Bob the Builder, We Can Fix It. Battle Stations. Barbie Super Sports. Yeah, I'm sure everyone wants that game. Casper, based off of the Casper movie. RC Stunt Copter. Dexter's Laboratory. Mandex Lab, if you guys remember that old Dexter's Laboratory show that was on Cartoon Network. 007, Tomorrow Never Dies. A Bratz game. Crime Killer. Excalibur. And if you guys remember the Spice Girls, they actually had a Spice Girls video game. Very odd. I'm sure it's a big piece of garbage, though. Alright, let's move on here, guys. We've got Pac-Man World. That was a kind of fun title. Atari Anniversary Edition Redux. Had some classic games. Some different demo discs. Some Jam Pack here. You got Jam Pack Volume 12. Another Jam Pack Winter 98. Jam Pack Summer 99. Another Summer 99. Another Volume 1 Jam Pack 12. Jam Pack Winter 2000. Another Underground Jam Pack. Jam Pack Fall 2001. Another Jam Pack here. So I loved those Jam Pack demo discs. You know, it was a great way for you to test out games without having to spend money by buying them. So you got a great selection for those. So I do enjoy those demo discs. Spec Ops Airborne Command. Xena Warrior Princess. If you guys remember that old Xena show. Frogger. That was such a cool little Frogger game. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. That was also fun. Project Overkill. Sim Theme Park. The Fifth Element. Moto Racer World Tour. I remember that being a fun racing game. G-Police. Tonka Space Station. Now we'll move on to one of my most expensive games that I have because it's brand new and sealed, and that's the Divide Enemies Within. People try to sell this for like 140, 150 sealed right now. I remember I picked it up for cheap. It still has a little hang tab there that's not even moved. I have no idea why this game is going for so much right now, and I barely ever see very many copies. But for some reason it is. You know, I never played it as it's sealed, and I never played it when it was new, so I don't know how much about it, but I do know that it's worth quite a bit of money sealed right now, so I cannot tell you why, but if you ever see it cheap, pick it up. Putter Golf. Crypt Killer, real arcade shooting action. Remember, that was really cool. Running Wild. Assault Retribution. Remember, that was a kind of interesting title. Dragon Tales, Dragon Seek. I'm sure everybody wants that game. Castlevania Symphony of Night. I remember getting this at a village thrift store. This awesome game. This thing was like minty, and I got it for just a few bucks. Such an awesome title. If you got a PS1, you need to add this to your collection, especially if you're a fan of Castlevania. Rayman, another classic game for the PS1. Smurfs Racers, a fun Smurf racing game. My wife loves that. Inspector Gadget, if you guys remember that old Inspector Gadget cartoon, they actually have a game, Gadget's Crazy Maze, so that's cool. NFL Blitz 2001, loved the NFL Blitz game, so awesome. Bruce Willis, Apocalypse. NASCAR 1998. Duke Nukem, A Time to Kill, such a classic game. Guardians Crusade. Blade. Machine Hunter. Mech Warrior 2, such a classic title. Auto Destruct. M&M's Shell Shocked. WF Warzone, spent a lot of time, put many hours into this game as a kid. Such a cool wrestling game. And then also WF Attitude, which I played even more. Once I got it on Dreamcast, though, that's the console I exclusively played this game on, though, because it was much better there. And another SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge. Next up, we have NASCAR 2001, Lucky Luke, Ballerberg Castle Chaos, Battle Tanks Global Assault, VMX Racing, The Grand Stream Saga, Cyber Tiger. I remember this was a fun Tiger Woods game. Spyro Year of the Dragon, another great game in the Spyro series. V-Rally 2, Need for Speed. Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX Maximum Remix. Pandemonium. Patriotic Pinball. Fantastic Four, which is actually a fun Fantastic Four game. The Lost World Jurassic Park, which actually has a little 3D cover. It's kind of hard to see it on camera. You can sort of see it. In great condition, and this was an interesting game. I really love that 3D cover they have on there. Really cool. Air Combat, Power Move Pro Wrestling, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire 2nd Edition again, Power Rangers Time Force, a Rugrats game, Ridge Racer, cool classic game, Jumpstart Wildlife Safari Field Trip, definitely would not recommend that to anybody, The Dukes of Hazzard Racing for Home. Next, we have the original Moto Racer, which I remember playing this on the PC when we first got our first computer. It was really cool. Blues Big Musical. Test Drive Off-Road 2. Now, that's a fun racing game. Ball Blazer Champions. Dune 2000. Tomb Raider, The Last Revelation. Such a classic Tomb Raider game. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Another one I recommend. The Italian Job. Small Soldiers. Fighting Force. Ford Truckmania, Shadow Masters, Vampires, just Vampires Countdown, Vampire Countdown, Final Fantasy Tactics, Disney Story Studio, Disney's Mulan, Blast Radius, Reboot, if you guys remember that old cartoon show. That was really interesting. I remember I loved that as a kid. I never actually played the game. Definitely will have to pop it in sometime and see how this is. How the Grinch Stole Christmas game. VR Golf 97. Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace. The Land Before Time. The Big Water Adventure. Die Hard Trilogy. Alright, now we're moving on. Darkstone. This is a top-down action RPG game, played similar like Diablo, single player game. Awesome game, I highly recommend. I'm actually currently playing this on my PS1. Fun game, going back and playing it. Gauntlet Legends, such a classic. We got Akuji, the Heartless, that was a cool game. Pro Pinball, Big Race USA. Tiger Shark, NBA Live 1998. Speedball 2100. Superbike 2000. Alexi Lalas, International Soccer, Alien Trilogy Classic title, Ms. Pac-Man Maze Madness, Shrek Treasure Hunt, Soviet Strike, awesome title, original Dynasty Warriors game. It started out as a fighting game, really cool, kind of hard to find. I actually have 2 copies, thanks to my brother giving me his. Intelligent Cube, this is another one of those pricey titles I got really cheap at the thrift store. Didn't really know about it being expensive. I just grabbed it because it was cheap and I didn't have it, and it's actually a fun game. And next up here, one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 1 is the original Silent Hill. This game still sells for like 50, 60 bucks in my area, and I actually have 3 copies, and I got them all super cheap over the years. Definitely happy to have this, as it's one of my absolute favorite games. Highly recommend getting the original Silent Hill. It's a great survival horror game, and especially a good one in the series. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Road Rash, awesome game. Definitely recommend picking this up. It's a great fun racer. Namco's Museum Volume 1. And A Bug's Life. Alright guys, give me a second here to move some stuff and we'll continue on. Alright, sorry about that guys. I just had to move some of the games out of the way. So we have Toy Story 2. Another Toy Story 2. Ray Tracers, I remember this it was an interesting racing game. The Final Round, a golf game. South Park, now that's a classic. Star Wars, Masters of Terras Kasai, something like that. Remember it means something with fighting or something, but it's a Star Wars fighting game. It's not that good. Rampage, that's a World Tour, now that's a classic game. Iron and Blood, the dark side of a 3D fighting game. That's a Dungeons and Dragons game. We got Newman Haas Racing, a winning IndyCar tradition. War Games DEF CON 1, such a classic game. Loved this as a kid. So happy to have that in the collection. Definitely recommend checking it out. It's really cool. Formula 1 99. Castro Honda Superbike Racing. Spyro the Dragon Classic. It's the original. Also have another Spyro the Dragon. And a third copy of Spyro the Dragon. Space Jam, if you guys remember that classic movie where Michael Jordan teamed up with the Looney Tunes. It was a great movie. Haven't played the game, so I'm not sure how it is, but I loved the movie, so definitely would like to check this one out sometime. Tekken 3 Classic, love the Tekken games. International Superstar Soccer Pro 1998. It's back, Pong, the next level. We have another copy of Frogger, another copy of Frogger, and Frogger 2 Swampy's Revenge. Also another Casper game here, Casper Friends Around the World. UFC, 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue, The Incredible Hulk, the Pantheon Saga. I remember this was a fun Hulk game. I'm definitely going to have to pop this one in again and check it out. I remember I really liked it, though. Independence Day, Little League Slugger, it's a baseball game. Forsaken, In Cold Blood, Grid Runner, Wild 9. This was a classic game. Definitely recommend getting this. It's a pretty cheap game, and it's really cool. Contender and Contender 2. WCW Mayhem. It's not the greatest wrestling game. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're a big wrestling fan. I was really disappointed in that one. Tetris Plus. Battle Arena Toshinden. Lego Racers. League of Pain. Area 51, classic shooter. Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit, awesome game. Love this. I mostly played this on the PC, but it's cool to have the PS1. I love Army Men games. Absolutely some of my favorite games that I played as a kid, so definitely happy to have these. This is Army Men Sarge's Heroes 2. We also have Army Men Air Attack, the Collector's Edition. A Winnie the Pooh game. Ball Breakers. Alright. Next up, we have a Barbie Race and Ride. Would not recommend that to anybody. Superstar Dance Club #1 hits. There's another title I would not recommend. Here's the original Need for Speed classic title. Definitely would recommend this. I also have this on the 3DO, and I preferred the 3DO version over the PS1. I have Die Hard Trilogy 2. Powerpuff Girls Chemical Extraction. Shanghai True Valor. I love these Shanghai Mahjong tile games. Very cool. Definitely would recommend get that if you're a fan of those. Test Drive Le Mans. Point Blank. That's a classic game. Beast Wars Transformers. Loved this game. I mostly played it on PC, but I was happy to get it on the PS1, and it's a very, very cool game. Especially if you're a fan of Beast Wars, I would recommend getting this game. It was really fun. I used to love playing the multiplayer on the PC, though. Tiny Toon Adventures. The Great Beanstalk. Grudge Warriors, Cool Borders 4, Hooters Road Trip, Pitball, NCAA Football 98, Treasures of the Deep, Pro Pinball, The Amazing Virtual Sea Monkeys, Star Wars Dark Forces, classic game. Used to play this on the PC a lot. It is fun on the PS1. I would recommend getting that. Scrabble, classic title. Beyblade. And Resident Evil Survival, which was a nice little departure from the traditional Resident Evil games. Definitely would recommend checking out. It's really cool. Next up, we have a Looney Tunes racing game. Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko. Love the Gex games. Of course, you can't have a PS1 without the original Tomb Raider. I also have the greatest hits version of Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider 2. Another Tomb Raider 2. Tomb Raider 3. Tomb Raider 3, such classic games. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, another great game I would recommend. NFL Blitz 2000, Steel Harbinger, Spot Goes to Hollywood. If you guys remember 7-Up, their little mascot for a while was Spot, and he had several different games across different consoles, and there are some PS1 games. They are pretty fun. I would recommend checking them out. Here's another Road Rash, but the black labeled version. Bio Freaks. NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC, WF In Your House, that was a classic wrestling game. Tekken 2, can't go wrong with that. Uprising X, Pamela Anderson and VIP, I'm sure this is a very big piece of garbage game, but look, even Pamela Anderson got her own game. The Grinch. Hydro Thunder. Love this game. I prefer it on Sega Dreamcast, but the PS1 version is still really cool as well. And Dino Crisis. This is an awesome game. It's basically like Resident Evil, but with dinosaurs. Definitely would recommend Dino Crisis. Great game. Pick it up if you can get it. It's usually only like $10 nowadays. I have another Croc Legend of the Gobos. Crash Bash. I love Crash games. A lot of them are getting expensive. I don't know why this one's upside. Why some of these are upside down. I don't know. We'll flip them over. But I do have the original Crash Bandicoot. I don't know why this game is like $30-40 online, especially if you get the Black Label one, which I don't have. Love to get one someday, but I'm not going to spend the money. Such a classic title. There was tons of these sold, but for some reason, it's always expensive nowadays. I have no idea, but I do have 2 copies of the original Crash Bandicoot. I have Crash Bandicoot 2. I have another Crash Bandicoot 2. I also have Crash Bandicoot Warped, another Crash Bandicoot Warped, which has one of those 3D covers, kind of hard to see on camera, but really cool in person. And now I have a bunch of Crash Team Racing games. They're basically like Mario Kart. Very fun. I would recommend them. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of those. So I picked up quite a few of those over the years. Great game. Formula 199, Star Trek Invasion. Actually a fun Star Trek game. I definitely would recommend getting that. Twisted Metal, awesome game. I know my buddy Dean over at Escape to Gaming is a big fan of the Twisted Metal games, just like I was when I first played this as a kid, man. They were just amazing. So awesome. So I've got Twisted Metal 1, got Twisted Metal 2, another Twisted Metal 2, Twisted Metal 3, Twisted Metal 4. Awesome. Love the Twisted Metal games. Happy to have all of them in my collection. Test Drive 4, classic title, and another Test Drive 4. Next up, we have Action Man Operation Extreme. Don't really know anything about this game. I don't even know where I picked it up, but we'll have to try it out sometime. WCW Nitro, not the greatest wrestling game, but it's kind of your only hope for WCW games on PS1. It's worth checking out, but it ain't that great. Looney Tunes Sheep Raider, Road Rash 3D. It just wasn't this. Just for me, I just didn't like this as much as the old Road Rash games. It was okay, but it just wasn't as good as those. Wild Thornberries, a slots arcade casino game. Here's Need for Speed 2, which is pretty cool. We have Starwinder, the Ultimate Space Race. Don't know much about that one. Rascal, Disney's Goofy's Funhouse, another interactive sampler, so this is another demo disc. MLB 2000, Martian Gothic, Unification. This is another survival horror game. Very cool title. I definitely need to get back into playing this one. I did originally play it years ago, and I really liked it, so I need to pop this one in again. Big Ol' Bass, Test Drive 6, great game. The Game of Life, Sports Superbike 2, Rogue Trip, Original Resident Evil, such a classic. It was an awesome title to start the series. They also re-released a director's cut that made it a little easier and added DualShock support. Another Ballerberg Castle Chaos, and Caesar's Palace. Next up we have Spin Jam. It's a puzzle game. 10-Pin Alley. Rugrats, which you can see, here's another Rugrats. So there's 2 Rugrats games. Porsche Challenge. I remember that was a fun racer. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Sammy Sosa Softball Slam. Turbo Prop Racing. Siphon Filter. Oh, such an awesome game. I remember when I first played this, I kept playing that first level over and over and over and over again. Love the Siphon Filter game. Definitely recommend that. Tiny Tank, that's a cool game where you play as a little mini tank and you beat up and kill other larger tanks. It's awesome. Gex, classic game for the PlayStation. NCAA March Madness 2000. Sledstorm, the Collector's Edition. Another copy of the Dukes of Hazzard Racing for Home. Disney's Tarzan. Nightmare Creatures, I remember this game was awesome. Mega Man Legends, a classic Mega Man game. 3D Mega Man title, awesome, would recommend that one. Ford Racing was fun. I have Street Fighter. What is this one? EX plus A, I think. Yeah, Street Fighter EX plus A. It was a cool fighting game, I remember. Digimon. Colony Wars Vengeance again. The original Grand Theft Auto, if you guys ever played that, they were originally top-down games. Very fun. I definitely recommend checking them out if you've never played them before. They're very cool. There's several different ones for the PlayStation 1. FIFA Road to World Cup 98. We have Star Wars Jedi Power Battles. Mission Impossible. Moto Racer 2. Vigilante 8 Second Offense. Just pretty much plays just like Twisted Metal, where you battle with cars and stuff. It's really cool. Perfect Weapon, WCW vs. the World, IHRA Drag Racing, RC Racer, Razor Racing. Some more Army Men titles here. We have World War, Final Front, Army Men World War, Army Men 3D, another Army Men 3D, and then Army Men 3D Collector's Edition. Street Fighter Alpha 3, one of my favorite Street Fighter games on the PlayStation 1. Men in Black, the series, Crashdown. Rush Extreme Racing, that was a classic racing game, would recommend that to anybody. Shooter Space Shot, the Game Day 98, a 007 racing game, Animorphs, and Gunfighter, the Legend of Jesse James. Alright guys, give me a second here to move some more stuff out of the way and then we'll continue on. Alright, and we're back. We have a Resident Evil 3 Nemesis demo disc. I remember this came bundled with one of the games. I can't remember what it is, but I got this for free from a buddy. Here's another War Games DEFCON 1. Spec Ops Stealth Patrol. The Next Tetris. Triple Play 99. EA Sports NBA Live 2003. MLB 2002. World Cup Golf Professional Edition. 2 Extreme. Madden 98, Mary-Kate and Ashley's Crash Course. I'm sure everybody wants that game. We have another Area 51, Geom Cube, Spec Ops Stealth Patrol. There's another one of those. Stuart Little 2, NFL Game Day 2000, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the 3rd edition, Largo Winch, Commando SAR. I guess that's what it is. Let's check it out. Yep. Largo Winch Commando SAR. Don't know anything about that title. Black Dawn. Card Games The Fun Pack. Rugrats Studio Tour. Kart World Series. Midway presents Arcade's Greatest Hits, the Atari Collection 2. So you have Paperboy, Gauntlet, Road Blasters, and more. So 6 great arcade games in one. Definitely would recommend that, especially if you're a fan of these old arcade titles. Very cool compilation. Urban Chaos, Test Drive 5. There's another Creatures. Freestyle Motocross. TJ Lavin's Ultimate BMX. World's Scariest Police Chases. NCAA Game Breaker 98. Need for Speed High Stakes, classic Need for Speed game. Also have the Greatest Hits version. Jarrett LeBonnet Stock Car Racing. X-Blades Inline Skater, Quake 2, now there's a classic game, another Tetris Plus, Cyberdeck, a collection of Intellivision classic games for the Atari 2600, so you get 30 games, so another cool compilation of old Atari games. Epidemic, I remember this was a cool game. Marble Master, Moto Racer World Tour, another Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX Maximum Remix, and Pitfall 3D. We have another Battle Tanks Global Assault, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, Namco Museum Volume 3, Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, Team Rocket Rescue. So if you guys remember that Rocket Power show as a kid, I used to love that. Omega Boost, WCW NWO Thunder. Plays just like the Nitro game. It ain't the best game, but I remember I liked it as a kid. NBA Shootout 2001. NCAA Football 2001. Big Air. Roll Cage. Formula 1. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Such a classic. It's what started it all. Definitely would recommend getting the original. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. This one is Slamscape. Spec Ops Covert Assault, Action Bass, another Tiny Toons Adventure, Monopoly, Jet Moto 3, Micromaniacs Racing, 40 Winks. Alright, next up we have Wild Arms 2, awesome RPG, original Gran Turismo, Love Command & Conquer games, so I have them all on the PlayStation 1. There's original Command & Conquer Red Alert, which I have 2 different variants of that. I also have Command & Conquer Red Alert Retaliation, which has the expansion packs. Awesome game. Definitely recommend those. Siphon Filter 2, Golden Nugget, and the X-Files, a video game. If you guys remember that X-Files show, was really cool. And I absolutely love these double disc case ones. They're really cool. We have G-Police, Chrono Cross, Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, another Gran Turismo, Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, Alundra 2, Wild Arms, awesome game, Galarians, another really cool game, and Fade to Black. Next up we have Inuyasha, a feudal fairy tale, which I would love to get one with the manual. It's a cool Inuyasha game. Another MechWarrior 2. The original SmackDown game, love this one, played a lot of that. Another SmackDown 2. NHL 98. This is a Hello Kitty Cube Frenzy. I remember that game used to be kind of pricey. I'm not sure how that is nowadays. Wipeout 3. Spec Ops Ranger Elite. Theme Park. This was really interesting. I picked up a copy that had Red Alert. Then it also had this music generator that someone put together and it has all the discs in there. So very odd. I remember I picked this up at the thrift store for like $1 though, but couldn't leave it behind since I love Red Alert. Driver 2, classic game. Definitely recommend getting Driver 2. It's a really, really fun game. Pick it up. I got a second copy here. Star Ocean, the second story. I remember this game used to be really expensive. I'm not sure what it is nowadays. Got a second one thanks to my brother. Next up we have a Muppets Monster Adventure, Crossroad Crisis, Destruction Derby 2, The Legend of Legaia, a demo disc. I remember I picked this up within the last year or two for cheap. ODT, Escape or Die Trying, another Spider-Man, Jeopardy, Disney's Dinosaur, Oddworld Abe's Exodus, another classic game, Gran Turismo 2, another copy of Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 7, and another Gran Turismo. So those are all classic games I would recommend picking up for the PS1. We have Machine Head, Jet Moto 2, You Don't Know Jack, X-Men Mutant Academy. That was a cool X-Men game. Game just called Racing. Don't know really much anything about that one. Another Pac-Man World. Saga Frontier 2, Saga Frontier 1, those are awesome games. Ape Escape, love this game. Definitely recommend picking it up because you get to run around and try to catch these different little monkeys that have little lights on their head, and they get harder and harder to capture all of them as you get further in the game. I would definitely recommend that. All-Star Racing, Dino Crisis 2, a great follow-up to the original Dino Crisis, such a great game. Got another copy of Dino Crisis. The original Alundra, Vandal Hearts, that's a great title. And Covert Op Nuclear Dawn. Love this game. I actually have 2 copies since I got one from my brother. Alright guys, we got the last stack here. Give me a second to clean up stuff and we'll continue on. Alright. Resident Evil 2 here. I got 3 different copies of it. This one is the DualShock version, and I have 2 of the regular ones. Absolutely love Resident Evil 2, one of my favorite in the series. So happy to have that. Final Fantasy Anthology, awesome game. I have 3 copies of this Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories game. Remember, I got these all cheap at thrift stores. Space Hulk, The Vengeance of the Blood Angels. I remember hearing really good things about this game. I haven't played in a long time, so I don't remember what it's like. Siphon Filter 3, another copy of Siphon Filter 2. Spyro Ripto's Rage, another copy, awesome game. Final Fantasy 9. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, awesome game. Had such a huge library of different characters you got to play, even as Shao Kahn, Motaro, Gintaro, and Goro. Very cool game. I would recommend picking up for the PS1. It's awesome. Much better than the 64 version. Another Wheel of Fortune. Eggs of Steel. This is actually probably my rarest game in my collection. This is the Blockbuster exclusive version. There was another version later released for this game, but this Blockbuster one is extremely difficult to find. Was easily sell for like $150, $200. I barely ever see copies of this for sale on eBay that are the Blockbuster version. Very cool. Got this from a buddy a long time ago. Very cool. I also have Ark the Lad collection. Has all the games in there. Very awesome. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete, and Lunar 2 Silver Star no complete, or no, Lunar 2 Eternal Blue. Awesome game. Definitely happy to have these. Got those for really good prices. Another Final Fantasy VIII. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire 3rd Edition. Another one. Tecmo's Deception. That was a cool game. Mega Man 8. Classic game. Another Gran Turismo. Another Gran Turismo 2. The Legend of Dragoon. That was awesome. Final Fantasy Chronicles. Warhammer. Shadow of the Horned Rat. That was cool. Sammy Sosa High Heat Baseball 2001. Shadow Madness, and the original Metal Gear Solid. Such a good game. You have a PlayStation 1, you have to get this game for your collection. I loved it as a kid, and it still holds up really well today. Awesome title. Get a PS1, get Metal Gear Solid. You won't be disappointed. Last little stack here, we have Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX, another Driver 2, Heart of Darkness, which I actually have 2 copies of. Parasite Eve, awesome game, would recommend that one. Fear Effect, another game I would recommend. Allied Dreno, which I actually have 2 copies of this. And Beyond the Beyond. And Gunship. Alright, so there's all my normal titles. Now we're going to move on to the little stack I have of some import titles and then some games in custom cases. So we'll pause here and then move over there. Alright, so some of these I had bought were disc only, so I had to make my own cases for them. Like I have Tomba 2, The Evil Swine Return. Awesome game, very expensive. Unfortunately, when I got it at the thrift store, it only had the disc only, but I got it for like $1 or $2, so very cool. Good game. I would love to get it complete. Definitely recommend this game. Resident Evil in a custom case. Got that for my brother. And also Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, also in the custom case there. Have some PAL PlayStation 1 games. Tenchu Stealth Assassins. Tomb Raider. Tenchu game here. I do have some Japanese games as well. There's a Japanese Dragon Ball Z game, which this is really cool. And Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22. Battle Arena Toshinden 2. A Namco Museum Volume 1, a Japanese version. And then I have some of these Chinese bootleg games that I found at a thrift store. Somebody told me they were called Chinese Silvers, and they all do work. There's Boxer's Road. I don't remember. Some kind of Japan Pro Wrestling game. Ridge Racer Revolution. Some other really odd game. I don't remember too much about this one. Pandemonium. And Airgrave. We have V-Rally, Test Drive 4, Knockout Kings 99, a demo disc, Tobal number 1, another Japanese title here, Wipeout 2097, Loaded, Tetris Plus, Need for Speed 2, and then Tomb Raider 2 for the PAL titles. So those are some, not all of my import titles. I do have some more that are boxed up. But I do have something I wanted to share with you guys, so let me pause it here again, and I'll show you guys that real quick. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. This is called the PS Exchange version 2. It lets you play import games on your PlayStation 1 without having to mod it at all. It literally pop a disc in, and there's a little spring you put in that keeps it spinning. So you put that disc in, and then you swap in one of your import titles, and you can play it on any of the old PlayStation 1 consoles without needing to mod it at all. This is really cool. I remember I got this at the not the thrift store. I got this at one of my favorite game stores here many years ago. When I was in high school, it was only like $10 or something. So cool to get this, because you were able to play all the import titles without having to have the console modded at all. Very cool. Definitely would recommend getting one of these if you ever see it. It's very, very cool. Alright guys, I want to thank you for watching. That's my entire PS1 collection that I currently have with me. Like I said, I do have some other stuff that is put away in storage at my parents' place. You know, I'd love to get them out, but just don't have the room to get everything out in my collection. But I do love having these out on display. Again, you know, PlayStation 1 was such an amazing console. One of my favorite consoles, especially for the 6th gen. I liked it a lot more than I did the Nintendo 64. Even though I do love the Nintendo 64, I do feel the PS1 had a much better library, bigger selection of games, and just overall a better console. If you guys have a collection video of your PlayStation 1, I would love to see it. Please leave a link to it in the description. Let me know what titles you guys saw that you liked, if there are titles you didn't like, and are there titles you think I should pick up for the PS1, because, you know, I'm always looking for new games to add to the collection, and I love to hear from you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care, have a wonderful day, and Sleepy, we'll see you guys next time.